Jim Ratcliffe, 25%, £1.3 billion of investment. What's your take on this? Firstly, do you think it's a good or a bad thing for Man United? And secondly, I know you've been quite vocal about the fans in terms of the fans are a disgrace on this. But yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on this takeover, your thoughts on whether it will help Man United, and then, of course, your view of the fans' reaction to this.
I'm not surprised, if I'm being honest. It would have made more sense to do a full takeover. But as we know, the Glazers don't make sense. And they're not interested in the football club. They're only there to get paid. Hence why they've taken so much money out of the club over the years. They're not serious about winning. Yeah, it's all about maximizing revenue and income. But yeah, they've gone down the route of 25%. And it's crazy. I've seen like the fallout from it when it was first announced. Like everyone was going mad. The Glazers out was hashtagged and trending everywhere. And fast forward 48 hours or so, everyone's now kind of coming around to, yeah, so Jim, it's not that bad. We'll see what happens. We need to see the outline. I see United Supporters Trust posting out a statement saying that they're not opposed to it. They didn't exactly put, I'm paraphrasing, but they're not opposed to it. They just want to see the outlines of Sir Jim's plans and et cetera, et cetera. Now I've seen a load of media outlets today trying to put a positive spin on it. And it's like, mate, your football club's been in the gutter for a long time. Yeah, it's nowhere near the club it used to be. And this is probably the worst thing that could happen, because now you've got another guy coming in who's not going to be serious. Let's just be real with it. He owns two football clubs, one in Switzerland, I think, and one in France. Like, you've only got to have a look at what he's done to Nice since he's been there. And then people are saying, oh, yeah, but they're currently sat 1 point off top. Yeah, the 4 years that he's owned it, they've never got in the Champions League. And the 4 years before he owned it, they were in it 3 years out of 4. And people are saying, yeah, but he can't compete with PSG. Well, why? Why can't he? If he's this great guy and this big guy that's going to come into United, you've only got to have a look at Nice. How's he going to overtake Man City if he can't or get closer to PSG every year and try and nick some trophies here and there? What's he going to do with United? And I know the revenue streams are different, et cetera, but the premise remains the same. You still got to overtake Man City. Yeah, and I don't see how he's going to do that. Yeah, firstly, he's only going to have 25%. He's probably not going to have that much of an involvement because the Glazers are still going to have the monopoly on the football club. And here's what it is, isn't it? Man United fans are going to try and convince themselves this ain't a bad thing, when the reality is you're just going to get worse and worse. Yeah, last season was probably good in terms of winning a trophy. Make the most of it because you ain't winning one for a long time, mate. Yeah, the way your club is set up right now, the stadium's falling down. The toilets are leaking everywhere on match day. You've got little mini protests going on here, there, and everywhere, and then they walk in the ground with their kit on and the flag with 1958 or whatever on a duvet written in red. The Norwich scarves are out. Go and buy an £8 pie that's like a rock. Like, business is booming at United. Yeah, the only thing that ain't booming is on field. You've got a team of players that half of them shouldn't be there. You've got a manager who I don't think is good enough for your club. Just buying up his agents' players or players that he's managed before or have played in the Dutch league, and it's all a bit of a mess, isn't it? And we've had loads of conversations on here about the manager, but both of us have agreed it does come from above. And now you've gone down the route of let's just take 25% instead of actually getting rid of the football club and walking away. It's just pure greed. Yeah, but we know they're greedy, and don't expect anything different. Yeah, if anything, I think it'll get worse. Yeah, they might show willing and make the training ground a little bit better and upgrade some of the facilities, but how's that going to change the on-field results? I don't really see how it does. I think if you had gone down the Qatar route, you know that they're going to strive for excellence. You know that they're going to come in and try and make Man United great again. Whereas I don't see that with Jim Ratcliffe. I really don't.
Yeah, look, do you know what's interesting about it? For instance, the Man United Supporters Trust, they weren't twerking for the Qataris. They were always they wanted Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So when people like that I see are open-minded and positive, me being fair, I'll say, well, do you know what? You weren't somebody that wanted the Qataris over him like me. So I don't want to paint every Man United fan or group with the same brush, because there were many that wanted Sir Jim Ratcliffe over the Qataris. For one reason or another, they did. I agree with a lot of what you've said, though, in terms of the way it's all reading in the newspapers. Sounds great. 1.3 billion being invested, new stadium, new training facilities. There's so much that's being said that if we do improve, I do believe there will be an improvement on the field. And the reason that I say that is because it will make the players take the club more seriously, just seeing those types of improvements being made. How do we know this? Sean Longstaff and about 3 or 4 other Newcastle players have spoken about this at length, that since the new owners came in, since they started improving training facilities, etc., they said they felt a difference at the club. There was almost like a new mood around. Now, United it's not going to happen in the same way because it isn't 100% new ownership. But again, the way it's reading is that he is going to get full control over running the sporting element and wants to bring in some of the best in class to run those areas. So on paper, it reads good as it can be, that is. However, as I've said to a lot of United fans, I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram every single news article that comes out. And I said my piece on Sunday morning. I feel like this could finish the club off for good if this goes wrong, and I stand by that. But I'm okay. You're telling me you're going to do the right things. I'm now going to use those words and those media briefings from your people, and I'm going to hold you, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and the Glazers accountable for what you're promising now. You're promising new stadia or improvements, new training facilities. You're talking about improving the squad and helping out with the debt. What happens to that 1.3 billion? And this is where Man United fans are really going to prove whether they love the club in terms of what the club is meant, how the club is meant to be run and what it's meant to achieve and represent, versus using the football club as a social club or as a fashion accessory. Because if 1.3 billion comes in and debt isn't paid off, and the debt is hurting us, if the debt isn't paid off and improvements aren't made around multiple rotting areas, and the Glazers just pocket all of it, and these fans continue to give money to them, they deserve it. Because we're not talking about something that's deeply moral here. You know, we're not talking about something that's killing people, harming people, putting people in hospital, making people bankrupt, ruining lives. We are talking sport. You have a choice in this. And if you continue to fund and support people that are pillaging this football club, you deserve it, because you are a big part of that problem. If, however, that money is now used to pay debt off, stadiums improving, we get the Paul Mitchells of this world coming in, and we start to see improvements, then I look at it as, okay, well, maybe now definitely financially support it, because we can see it's moving in the right direction and we still want the club to be successful. We also have to push to see what these mechanisms look like for a full takeover, because if they can just pull the plug on this deal anytime they want and maintain 75%, again, we could be in lumber again in the future. So there's so many unanswered questions about this. Before the Qataris got involved, would Man United fans have been happy with this a year ago, 18 months ago? Probably. But then we saw the light at the end of a very different tunnel, and a lot of us wanted it. So yeah, I am gutted that we haven't got the Qatari owners. The only thing, and I said it on yesterday's show, that I am happy about in terms of not getting Sheikh Jassim, is that I know what it would have been like on every stream after we won. I know what it would have been like with the media every time Man United improved or progressed. Question marks over the morality of our funding would have come up. And that's probably the only element of me that's happy that I'm not going to have to deal with those questions on a day-to-day, because every stream we did about the potential takeover, that was the rhetoric in the comments section. So that's the only element I'm glad about, is that people don't get to push their fake pseudo-moralistic stances on me every single game, because we knew they would have. We know that happens every day now on social media as it is. But yeah, look, I'm not all doom and gloom about this. I'm not excited about it either, though. I am massively fearful. I don't trust the Glazers as far as I could throw them, but we'll see. And, you know, very much as you say you have done from 2004-05, when you look at what the people running your club said, why you were knocking the stadium down, why you're moving, what you're going to achieve. That's very much what I'm doing with this. You are promising X, Y, and Z. Fine. You know how I am as a person. I'm going to take your word for it to begin with, and let's see how you deliver. Does that make sense? So